Do you truly believe that November is just the month to board up the garden shed, lock the gate, and forget about your plot until spring? What if I told you that these grey cold days are exactly when the fate of your next harvest is decided? And this isn't about manure volume or seed quality. It's about energy. Imagine your garden as a gigantic battery. Right now, you have the power to either charge it up to 100% or drain it completely to zero. Today, we're going to discuss how planning your garden beds in November using Feng Shui principles can radically transform the quality of your vegetables and fruits. Sounds like magic? Maybe. But once you see the results, you'll call it technology, ready to uncover the secret that conventional agronomists aren't telling you. Then settle in comfortably. We're about to rewire your mind and your plot. Before we grab our shovels or our planning pencils, let's clarify one crucial thing. Feng Shui is not about placing golden toads beneath your tomato plants or hanging red lanterns from your apple trees. Translated from Chinese, the term means winds and waters. It is an ancient discipline focusing on how the energy, known as qi, moves through space. Imagine qi as an invisible river flowing right through your property. If the riverbed is clean and the flow is smooth, the earth yields abundance, plants remain healthy, and you feel energized. But if the flow is blocked, the energy stagnates, transforming into destructive sha qi. November plays the role of a deep, silent breath before a long winter sleep in this cycle. This is the time of yin energy, quiet, dark, and absorptive. Right now, the earth is most receptive to our intentions and structural changes. How you map out the land today will determine how the active sunny yang energy expresses itself come spring. We are going to work with your space in a way that allows nature itself to help you grow a record-breaking harvest. Let's begin with a foundational principle often ignored by gardeners chasing maximum efficiency. I'm talking about the shape of your beds and pathways. In nature, perfectly straight lines and sharp corners are almost non-existent. Rivers always meander. Tree branches grow at organic angles, and hills have gentle flowing contours. Now contrast that with a typical vegetable patch. Rigid rectangles lined up like soldiers standing on a parade ground. According to Feng Shui, a long straight line creates the poisoned arrow effect, where energy accelerates too quickly, becoming aggressive and literally slicing through the space. Think of it like a powerful draft rushing down a narrow hallway. It's uncomfortable, right? Your plants feel the same way. When you are outlining your future plantings, try rounding off those sharp corners. Make the shape of your bed smoother, more biomorphic. Visualize it this way. If water were flowing across your garden, it should gently flow around obstacles, not smash into them. This preserves the nourishing chai energy within the planting area, allowing your plants to gently sip this nourishment calmly and steadily. Let's talk about zoning now. To help us structure our space, we'll use a tool called the Bagua map. This is essentially an energy grid that divides any space into 9 distinct sectors. Each sector corresponds to a specific area of life and is governed by a particular natural element. You need to take this grid and overlay it onto your property or garden plan, making sure the bottom edge aligns with the main entrance or gate. We'll begin with the southeast sector. This is the wealth area, or prosperity zone. Its governing element is wood, which is naturally nourished and supported by water. November is the perfect time to plan plantings here, specifically crops that symbolize abundance and perpetual growth. For instance, dedicate this space for next year's squash, pumpkins, or cucumbers. These are all high-yield plants that rapidly develop lush green foliage and produce a generous harvest. A major mistake people make in this sector is leaving the corner bare, or even worse, dumping dead wood or dry debris there. That kind of refuse represents stagnant or dead energy. If you want your garden to yield high returns, whether that's monetary profit or just abundant harvest, clear out the southeast section immediately. Instead, add fresh compost. This active decay process will generate internal heat, essentially warming the soil throughout the winter. Think of it as putting money into a high-yield savings account. Moving right along, the south sector is the zone of fame and reputation. The primary element here is fire, making this the most energetically active spot on your property. Naturally, this area gets the most direct sunlight in the summer. It makes perfect sense, then, to plan on planting your most sun-loving and vibrant crops here. Red peppers, tomatoes, and sunflowers. They will absolutely thrive. But what about November, when the fire energy starts to dwindle? Your job is to keep that element sustained. Do not leave the southern part of your garden as a messy, churned-up patch of mud. Instead, make sure you heavily mulch the beds, ideally with straw or light-coloured leaves. This helps retain the residual warmth. If you have the chance, plan now to plant flowers with bright red or orange blooms for the spring. The ideal visual metaphor for this sector is a bright bonfire, burning brilliantly and visible from afar. If you allow the south to become a dumping ground for trash or salted snow, don't be surprised when your greatest achievements as a gardener go completely unnoticed by your neighbours. The southwest sector governs love, marriage and partnership. Its elemental energy is earth. This area is ideal for paired plantings and strict symmetry. As you plan your garden beds in this corner, perhaps laying out your design in November, aim specifically for paired arrangements. Think in twos, 2 adjacent beds, 2 matching berry bushes, or 2 identical flower patches. This dramatically enhances the energy of interaction and harmony. The soil here should be particularly dense, well-maintained, and perfectly level, free of any roots or holes. If you're planning your spring planting in this location, focus on companion plants that either cross-pollinate efficiently or mutually support each other's growth. A classic example of partnership is the Three Sisters garden: corn, beans and squash. Although for truly emphasising paired energy, 2 identical crops planted side by side work best. The primary error in this sector is the placement of a solitary single tree or a compost pile, which symbolically represents decay and stagnation. Remove anything unnecessary and meticulously level the ground. Imagine you are preparing a perfectly smooth, level stage for 2 partners to dance. The east governs the area of family and health, and its corresponding element is wood. This sector is responsible for the vitality of your entire lineage, as well as the health of the plants themselves. The energy here is naturally upward moving. In November, it is critically important to check the condition of any trees and tall shrubs located in this area. Prune away all diseased and dead branches. If a sick tree stands in the health sector, it projects negative energy throughout the entire garden. When planning garden beds here, prioritise tall crops that naturally reach for the sun. Also favour greens that provide a powerful vitamin boost, such as spinach, onions and sorrel. Be sure to add organic fertilisers here in November. Think of this sector as the foundation of your home. If the foundation is strong, the walls will certainly stand. A common mistake I see is gardeners placing rusty scrap metal in the eastern area. This is fundamentally wrong, as the metal element clashes with and chops the wood element. Remove all iron and metallic objects from this area immediately. The heart of your plot is the Tai Chi centre, and its element is earth. This hub is where all energy originates before it flows out to every other sector. The cardinal rule of Feng Shui for the centre is simple: keep it open. You must strictly avoid heavy structures, deep holes, or dense, overgrown thickets here. The best solution is an open lawn or a circular flower bed that functions as a natural distribution hub. Take a moment, perhaps in November as you assess your plot, to check this vital area. If you find a mound of soil left over from digging, or an old water barrel sitting there, you are effectively blocking the plot's heartbeat. Level the ground immediately. If you choose to plant anything, make sure it is low-growing and use the colours of the earth element, yellow or terracotta. Imagine the centre as a busy city square. It needs to be spacious and clear so that energy, like people, can move freely and disperse down every path. The western sector is associated with children, creativity, and the metal element. This area governs all new beginnings, the tangible results of your hard work, and, crucially, experimentation. If you enjoy testing out new or exotic varieties, this is precisely where you should plant them. Metal thrives on structure and purity. The beds in your western zone should be impeccably maintained, perhaps defined by crisp edges or clear borders. By November, ensure there are absolutely no decaying plant remnants here, as rot is antithetical to metal's desire for purity. Using metal hoops or arches for your cold frames or greenhouses would be an excellent application of the element in this particular area. The visual goal here is a scientist's lab or an artist's studio, a place where the future is born. If you are struggling with seed germination, focus your attention on the western sector. It may be too cluttered or simply lacking sufficient light. The northwest sector is traditionally known as the area of helpers and travel. Its corresponding element is metal. This sector governs external support, everything from attracting good weather and warding off pests to gaining assistance from neighbours. In practical gardening terms, this space represents your tools and equipment. November is the optimal time to establish perfect order here. If you have a shed or storage area located in your northwest corner, give it a deep clean. Clean your shovels, oil your pruners, and discard anything rusty or broken. Your tools are an extension of the gardener's hand, and showing respect for your equipment in this zone is believed to attract greater fortune. If you plan garden beds here, plant crops that are cold hardy and require minimal maintenance, your most resilient performers. Think of this area as your base of operations, your rear guard. If your base is disorganised, your frontline efforts won't last long. The north represents the domain of career and your life path. Its ruling element is water. This sector governs major life development and broad personal growth. The essence of water is flexibility and deep insight. When designing your garden beds here, opt for curved or meandering shapes, imitating the flow of a natural stream. Water-loving vegetables, think cabbage, cucumbers and zucchini, will thrive in this area. However, pay special attention to drainage, especially as November approaches. Stagnant water is a sign of trouble. Poor drainage in the north can lead to stagnation in your career or personal affairs. Also, remember that water conflicts with the earth element. Therefore, avoid building tall, heavily mounded raised garden beds here. Sunken beds, or those kept level with the surrounding soil, are much better. Consider this image, the mountain stream that always finds its path. If you allow the north sector to be blocked, say by clutter or a literal dam of junk, you risk stopping the natural flow of movement and progress in your life. The northeast sector is traditionally known as the zone of wisdom and knowledge. Its element is earth. This is the perfect space for quiet contemplation and the slow accumulation of experience. Surprisingly, it's also the ideal spot for your compost heap. Seriously, you heard that correctly. Composting is essentially the process of transforming waste into fertile gold, the ultimate manifestation of nature's profound wisdom. However, this heap shouldn't be a messy dump site. It needs to be tidy, covered, and well maintained. During November, give this sector some extra attention. Turn your compost pile and make sure it's properly covered for the winter. If you use this area for garden beds, it is ideally suited for perennials or medicinal herbs, plants that accumulate strength and wisdom over multiple years. Think of this sector as a library where, instead of books, the knowledge of soil and minerals is stored. The one major mistake to avoid here is establishing a noisy recreation area or a children's playground. This zone demands and thrives on silence. Now let's look at plant compatibility through the lens of the 5 elements theory. Every vegetable carries the energy of a specific element. Hot peppers and onions, for example, embody fire and metal. Watery foods like cucumbers and melons represent water. Root vegetables naturally fall under the earth element. When you map out your planting scheme, remember to account for the fundamental cycles of generation and destruction. For instance, water nourishes wood, wood feeds fire. Fire creates earth. Think of ash. Earth produces metal, and metal condenses water. Crucially, avoid planting fire elements, like red, spicy varieties, directly next to water elements, blue, moisture-loving plants without a mediator such as wood, meaning your leafy greens. A conflict of elements in the garden will force your plants to waste energy fighting each other instead of focusing on producing fruit. For a perfect example of harmony, picture this: a row of greens representing wood planted between tomatoes, fire, and cabbage. Water. A crucial aspect that often gets overlooked is protection from the wind. Wind tends to disperse qi, preventing it from settling and accumulating on your plot. In Feng Shui, this concept is often referred to as the winds carrying away your good fortune. Once November rolls around and the leaves have dropped, take the time to observe where the dominant prevailing winds are coming from. If your garden is completely exposed, if the wind just rips right through it, you simply won't have a good harvest. You need to create what is known as the chair back, protection for the rear of your property. This is typically the northern or northwestern side. Plan to install a fence or plant a substantial hedge in that specific location. However, remember that the barrier shouldn't be a solid wall. A completely solid surface will only cause air turbulence and strong eddies. The best solutions are barriers that filter the air, not block it entirely. A standard picket fence or dense bushy shrubs work perfectly as they soften the flow of air. Think of it as gently wrapping your garden in a cozy warm scarf. The colour scheme. Yes, even in the dead of winter or late autumn, colour really makes a difference. The ground in November often looks dark, black, and gloomy. That's an excess of yin energy. To counteract this imbalance, you need to introduce some yang elements. Paint your garden markers or bed stakes in vivid colours. Think bright red, orange or yellow. Use coloured mulch if that's an option. Alternatively, you could just leave a few colourful, late-harvested pumpkins sitting on the beds, or plant ornamental cabbage, which often lasts right up until the first heavy snow. These bright spots act as beacons for qi energy, actively drawing it toward the spots where new life will sprout in the spring. Think of them as the landing lights on a runway, guiding the supply plane straight to your garden. The paths and walkways. We've discussed how essential it is for these paths to be winding or curved, but right now it's crucial to examine their actual condition. Mud, standing puddles, and broken paving stones are all major energy blockages. The qi, or life energy, flows precisely where you walk. If you find a path unwelcoming or unpleasant, the energy flow will feel that same resistance. If the pathway is unwelcoming to you, the energy won't be drawn there either. Fill in any ruts or holes with gravel, or lay down temporary wooden boards. Ensure that accessing any garden bed is comfortable and easy, even after a heavy rain. This physical ease symbolises a clear and straightforward path toward achieving your goals. If you have to fight your way through an obstacle course just to reach the greenhouse, you can expect that your harvest, or your success, will be gained only through tremendous struggle. Think of it this way. Your paths are the arteries of your garden. If they are clogged with cholesterol, mud and debris, the corresponding organ or garden bed will struggle and eventually wither. Lighting. When the days grow short, light becomes a precious commodity. Feng Shui suggests strategically placing artificial lights in the darkest corners of your garden to breathe life into them. Naturally, installing powerful floodlights over empty flower beds might seem a bit extravagant, but even just one solar-powered lantern placed in the farthest corner of your yard is enough to prevent energy from stagnating. This establishes a clear focal point of attraction. Light, after all, is pure yang energy. A tiny flicker of light in the deep November darkness tells the space around you. People live here. There is life here. We are waiting for spring. This serves as a powerful psychological and energetic anchor. Achieving balance in elevation. Take a good look at your garden's topography. A plot that's flat as a table is dull for energy. It simply flows straight over without settling. Conversely, terrain that is overly uneven or chaotic causes disruption. According to Feng Shui, the perfect landscape should resemble a protective armchair. A high back, like mature trees or your house, providing support, side supports, acting as armrests, bushes or shrubs, and open space in the front. This November, as you build your raised beds, You can artificially recreate this ideal elevation profile. Alternate high-raised boxes with lower, in-ground plantings. This contrast generates beneficial turbulence, which effectively churns the chi energy and distributes it evenly throughout the plot. Think of ocean waves. Their movement oxygenates the water, bringing vital energy and life. Focus on your entrance. Your garden gate is the mouth of chi. It is the conduit through which energy flows into your space. How is your gate looking this November? Is it squeaky? Does it fail to latch properly? Is it buried under snow or autumn leaves? Fix it immediately. Oil the hinges. Hang a beautiful sign or place some wind chimes there so that every entrance is accompanied by a pleasant sound. Sound cleanses the energy and wards off negative spirits, or maybe it just lifts your spirits. If your entryway is blocked or untidy, no amount of careful planting or garden planning will help, because there will be no vital energy to nourish them. Feng Shui doesn't exist in a vacuum. Your property is constantly affected by your neighbour's structures. If the sharp corner of a neighbour's shed points directly at your prized strawberry patch, that is what we call a poisoned arrow. This angle sends sharp, aggressive cutting energy, known as sha. Since it's November, this is a great time to implement protective measures. You need to place an obstacle directly in the path of this negative energy. This could be a sturdy trellis, a decorative shield, or you could plant a tall, dense juniper next spring. If you don't have the permanent planting yet, you can temporarily drive a stake into the ground and hang a small mirror or a shiny object to symbolically reflect the negativity back. Make sure to protect your most valuable plantings and garden assets from this external form, aggression. Preparing water features for winter. Water is a powerful accumulator of energy and memory. Leaving open containers or barrels full of water for the winter is not only considered bad feng shui, it's also bad physics. That barrel will surely burst when the water freezes. Stagnant, dirty water accumulates heavy, yin energy, the energy of decay and stagnation. Make sure you drain all your barrels completely and turn them upside down for the winter. If you have a pond, float a piece of wood or a log in the centre. This prevents the expanding ice from damaging the banks. Also, be sure to skim the surface clean of all fallen leaves. Ensuring your water sources are clean or properly conserved guarantees that the emotions connected to the water element will be clear and positive come springtime. Think of it as sealing a jar of pure, positive energy, ready to be opened next spring. But above all, focus on your intention. This is the most crucial element. Feng Shui only truly works where consciousness is present. When planning your garden beds in November, don't just go through the motions. Infuse conscious thought into every step. As you sketch the design, visualize yourself harvesting juicy, ripe tomatoes right here. As you turn the soil, thank the earth for the bounty of the previous season. This is what we call animating the space. The soil truly senses the attitude of the gardener. If you work the ground with resentment, hating the cold, or feeling utterly exhausted, the earth will absorb that negativity. Instead, turn planning into a ritual. Brew your favourite tea, take out some beautiful paper, and allow yourself to truly dream. Energy follows thought. Where attention is directed, the chi flows freely. What a revelation, huh? It turns out your garden isn't just a collection of flower beds and vegetable rows, but a complex, living organism that breathes and feels. By applying just a few tips from our list today, maybe rounding those sharp corners, clearing the clutter from your wealth zone, or just fixing a squeaky gate, you will immediately change the vibration of your entire space. The core message is simple. Don't fight nature. Instead, learn to dance with it in perfect rhythm. November isn't an ending. It's the quiet beginning of your greatest gardening success. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you enjoyed this approach, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Now, I have a question for you. Have you ever noticed that in some spots of your plot, everything grows like crazy, while in others, plants just seem to wither away for no clear reason? Share your observations in the comments below, and let's map out these anomalies together. We'll see you in the next video.